What if everything you've ever known, every memory, every moment, is just a dream you haven't woken up from? Are dreams a hidden reality? When you fall asleep, a world emerges. Sometimes it's familiar. Sometimes it's impossible. But always, for those few fleeting moments, it feels real. You walk through cities that don't exist. You speak to people who aren't alive. You feel emotions, joy, fear, desire, with the same intensity as waking life. But then you open your eyes, and it's gone. The dream dissolves, and we tell ourselves, it wasn't real. But, what if we're wrong? Plato, the ancient philosopher, believed that this world, the one we call real, is itself a kind of shadow. A mere reflection of a truer, deeper reality beyond our senses. In his famous allegory of the cave, he imagined people chained in a cave, seeing only the shadows on a wall and mistaking them for reality. Dreams, in this light, are not just illusions. They might be glimpses into a different layer of truth, a different cave entirely. Then came Descartes, who shook the foundations of certainty with a single question. How do I know I'm not dreaming right now? He realized that every sensation, the feeling of the chair beneath you, the sound of your own voice, even the sight of your own hands, could all, in theory, be part of an incredibly vivid dream. If dreams can feel this real, how can we ever be sure we're awake? This unsettling thought forms the core of dream skepticism, the idea that we might never fully distinguish between waking and dreaming experience. After all, dreams can contain logic, emotion, memory, even self-awareness. Some lucid dreamers can control their dreams, ask questions, even remember waking life. But then, isn't that just another kind of consciousness? So what defines real? Is it consistency? Coherence? Pain? Permanence? And here's where it gets truly strange. In your dreams, you're not just an observer, you're the architect. The people you meet are fragments of your own mind. The fears, the desires, the landscapes, they're all you. Yet somehow, you forget that while dreaming. You surrender to the illusion, just like you might be doing now. So we return to the haunting question. If our waking life is just another form of dreaming, one we happen to agree on, then what does that make reality? And more importantly, if your mind can create entire worlds while you sleep, what else is it hiding from you? The dream argument: what if life is a dream? Close your eyes. Think of your most vivid dream, the one that made your heart race, your eyes tear up, the one where everything felt real. In that moment, while you were dreaming, you believed it. You lived it. And only later, after waking, did you realize none of it was true. But what if you haven't woken up yet? This is the essence of the dream argument, a haunting thought experiment most famously explored by the philosopher René Descartes in the 17th century. He asked, what if everything you know, your memories, your senses, your very identity, is all part of a dream? A dream so seamless, so perfect, that you've mistaken it for reality? In a dream, everything can seem logical until you wake. You believe in your job, your relationships, even in gravity and time. You carry emotional scars from people who don't exist. You feel pain, guilt, joy, all produced by a mind that thinks it's awake. But the dream argument goes further than just skepticism. It questions the very foundation of what it means to know something. If your senses, touch, sight, hearing, can all be fooled in dreams, then why trust them in waking life? If your memories can be fabricated in a single moment of REM sleep, why assume your past is real? Some philosophers suggest that waking life is just a more consistent dream. It's not that it's more real, just that it's more reliable. But reliability is not the same as truth. And this leads us to the truly unsettling possibility. Could your entire life, from birth until now, be one long, continuous dream? Think about it. You never remember falling asleep at birth. You only remember being conscious, having thoughts, building a story. And maybe that story is the dream. Maybe your body, your relationships, your past, are all figments of an imagination you don't control. Some traditions, like certain branches of Buddhism and Hinduism, suggest this is exactly the case. That the world we call reality is Maya, an illusion. That life itself is a dream of the soul, unfolding through the veil of time. Even modern thinkers in simulation theory ask a similar question: what if this isn't a dream, but a simulation? The line between dream and digital illusion starts to blur, and our certainty dissolves with it. And here's the cruel twist: if you were dreaming right now, how would you know? Maybe déjà vu is just your dream glitching. Maybe your deepest insights come from the real you trying to wake yourself up. Or maybe there is no waking up. Maybe this is all there is. So ask yourself again, what if life is a dream you haven't yet escaped? And if that's true, would you want to wake up? Lucid dreaming, control versus illusion. Imagine opening your eyes in the middle of a dream, not in your bed, but inside the dream itself. The moment you realize, I'm dreaming, you suddenly fly through the sky, walk through walls, summon impossible landscapes, because in that world, you are the god. This is lucid dreaming, where the dreamer becomes aware and, seemingly, in control. But here's the deeper question: are you truly in control or just dreaming that you are? Lucid dreaming feels like a triumph of awareness. Your conscious mind steps into the unconscious and bends the dream to its will. It's tempting to see it as proof of free will, evidence that awareness creates power. But philosophers and neuroscientists alike urge caution. Because in lucid dreaming, what you think you're controlling may still be governed by deeper layers of the unconscious. The dream doesn't come from nowhere, it comes from you. Or rather, from parts of you that remain hidden. So are you truly directing the dream, or are you playing out a script already written by your sleeping mind? And if we extend this to waking life, how much of our day-to-day free will is truly free? Are your choices really your own, or are they the result of habits, conditioning, and internal scripts running so deep you don't even notice them? Lucid dreaming becomes a metaphor for a bigger, scarier question. How much of our waking life is also a dream of routine, illusion, and assumptions we've mistaken for truth? Some mystics and spiritual traditions see lucid dreaming as a training ground, a space where the ego is stripped away and the mind becomes malleable. They suggest that just as we can wake up in a dream, we can wake up from the dream of ordinary consciousness. But even then, the paradox remains. If you control the dream, is it truly a dream anymore? And if you don't control it, if the illusion of control is itself part of the dream, then who, or what, is the dreamer? Lucid dreaming tempts us with godlike power, but it also confronts us with the limits of self-awareness. What if waking up inside the dream is still part of the dream? And if control is an illusion in sleep or in life, then what does it mean to be free? Can you be morally guilty for what you dream? Imagine waking up in a cold sweat. In your dream, you committed a terrible act, perhaps violence, betrayal, even murder. You didn't plan it. You didn't choose it. And yet, it felt real. Too real. The question creeps in: should I feel guilty for what I did in a dream? At first glance, the answer seems obvious: it was just a dream. No one was hurt. No action was taken in the real world. But deeper philosophical and psychological questions arise. According to Freud, dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. He believed that hidden desires, fears, and suppressed urges play themselves out in dreams, free from the censorship of our waking morality. So if you do something violent, cruel, or forbidden in a dream, Freud might say, that's your true self revealing itself. The dream becomes a confession. Guilt, then, would be more than emotional, it would be existential. But modern neuroscience often disagrees. Many contemporary psychologists argue that dreams are more random than meaningful, a byproduct of the brain organizing memories, problem solving, or simply firing neurons in chaotic patterns. Under this view, the disturbing content of a dream is just noise, not a moral signal. Still, the feeling of guilt can linger. Why? Because your mind doesn't fully distinguish between dream and memory. Emotionally, dreams can echo like real events, sometimes more vivid than waking life. And if guilt arises, even irrationally, it forces us to re-examine what morality is. Is guilt tied to action, or to intent? And if intent can exist in a dream, does morality begin even before action? Let's take it further. What if someone dreams of doing something noble, heroic, or selfless? Should they feel proud? Should they receive moral credit? And here's the twist: Some religious and philosophical systems, including certain interpretations of Buddhism and Christianity, suggest that intent is everything. Even thinking a sinful thought can be morally significant. In this case, dreams could matter a lot. But if our dreams are not under our conscious control, is it fair to assign guilt? Can you be held responsible for what the dreaming mind imagines? This paradox points to a blurry edge of ethics, the line where imagination, identity, and morality begin to blur. So next time you wake from a disturbing dream, ask yourself, was that just a shadow passing through your mind? Or a glimpse of something buried deeper, something you'd rather not know? And if your dream self breaks all moral laws, does that make you a bad person? Or just a haunted one? Why do we forget most dreams? You wake up. There's a fading trace of a strange world behind your eyelids, a scene, a feeling, a voice. But within seconds, it's gone. Almost every night, you dream. And almost every morning, your dreams vanish. Why? Neuroscientifically, the most basic explanation is this: during REM sleep, the stage where most vivid dreams occur, the brain's prefrontal cortex, responsible for logic, memory encoding, and attention, is less active. So even though dreams feel vivid and intense, they often aren't processed like waking memories. It's like writing with invisible ink, the experience happens, but it doesn't stick. But is this just biology? Or is there something deeper at play? Some evolutionary psychologists suggest that forgetting dreams might be adaptive. Dreams are often chaotic, emotionally charged, and full of bizarre narratives. If we remembered every dream in detail, our waking minds might become overwhelmed, unable to distinguish lived experience from imagined scenarios. Memory needs clarity to function. So the forgetting could be a filter, protecting us from noise. But other thinkers have posed a more chilling possibility: what if we forget dreams not by accident, but by design? What if the mind, or even consciousness itself, is hiding something from you? Some philosophers and mystics suggest that dreams are windows into truths too deep or uncomfortable for the waking mind to accept. Freud believed that dreams were the guardians of sleep, that we forget them to avoid waking to painful truths. Carl Jung took it further, suggesting dreams tap into the collective unconscious, exposing deep archetypes and personal shadows that the ego wants to avoid. So, is forgetting your dream an act of mental housekeeping? Or is it a kind of psychological censorship? Now flip the question: why do we remember some dreams, and why are they often the strange or disturbing ones? Could it be that your mind only allows certain messages to slip through? What's the difference between a dream that disappears and a dream that haunts? This leads to a final, unsettling idea. What if the most important dreams are the ones you'll never remember? Maybe the dream you forgot last night held something world-shifting. A realization. A memory. A truth. And it's gone now, locked behind some silent wall in your mind. Or maybe, it's still there, shaping your emotions, your choices, your life, like a ghost in your psyche you'll never truly meet. So next time you wake up with only fragments, ask yourself: did your brain forget? Or did it bury something on purpose? Do animals dream? You've seen it: your dog twitching in sleep, paws running through invisible fields, maybe even letting out a muffled bark. Your cat jerks its whiskers, chasing something in a dream world you'll never see. But what's really happening in those sleeping minds? Do animals dream? And if so, are they conscious, like us? From a scientific standpoint, there's mounting evidence that many animals, especially mammals, experience REM sleep, the same stage in which humans dream. Neurologically, their brainwaves during sleep mirror our own. Rats, for example, have been studied running mazes in waking life, and then, during REM sleep, their brains repeat the same firing patterns. It's as if they're replaying the maze, dreaming their way through memory. But this leads to a deeper, more philosophical question: if animals dream, does that mean they have an inner world, a sense of self? In humans, dreams are often rich with symbolism, fears, desires, and memories. If animals are simply replaying motor patterns or instinctual behavior, is that dreaming in the same way? Or is it just mechanical reprocessing, a biological cleanup? Where is the line between dreaming and being aware that you're dreaming? Philosophers like Thomas Nagel famously asked, "What is it like to be a bat?" Not whether bats have sonar, but whether there is a subjective experience of what it feels like to being a bat. If dreaming is a window into consciousness, then animal dreams might suggest that consciousness isn't exclusive to humans. This breaks open the door to another possibility: consciousness might not be binary, either on or off, but layered. Maybe your dog has a simpler, quieter kind of selfhood. Maybe a dolphin's dream is vivid, social, emotional. Maybe crows, with their known problem-solving abilities, construct dreams of tools, strategies, even imagined futures. But this also raises an ethical implication. If animals can dream, do they suffer in those dreams? Can they experience fear, confusion, loss the way we do? Do they dream of their owners, of other animals they've bonded with or lost? And the most haunting question: if they do have dreams, do they also have nightmares? In the end, watching a sleeping dog might not just be cute. It might be a glimpse into a mystery we still don't fully understand, not just about animals, but about the very nature of mind, memory, and the strange places we go when the world goes dark. So tonight, when your pet curls up beside you and drifts off, ask yourself, what universe are they about to visit? And will they ever know or care that it wasn't real? Or maybe, in their own way, it was. Dreams and death. Is sleep a glimpse of non-existence? What happens when you fall into a deep, dreamless sleep? No images. No sounds. No thoughts. Just a blank space, a moment that feels like it never happened. You close your eyes, and then suddenly, it's morning. Where were you during that time? This is where sleep begins to brush up against one of the deepest, oldest mysteries in philosophy: death. Not in a morbid way, but in an ontological one. Because when you're in dreamless sleep, not just unconscious, but truly blank, you experience something eerily similar to non-existence. As the Greek philosopher Epicurus once said, "Death is nothing to us, for when we exist, death is not present, and when death is present, we do not exist." In the same way, when we are in deep, dreamless sleep, we are not truly there. No you. No awareness of time. Just absence. Philosophers like Schopenhauer and Plotinus also pondered this space, this dark, silent interval of the mind. Is it just rest? Or a nightly rehearsal of oblivion? Think about this. If you fall asleep and don't dream, you have no concept of time. Whether you slept 10 minutes or 10 hours doesn't matter. Subjectively, you blinked, and it was over. This time collapse mirrors what many imagine death to be: a sudden disappearance of subjectivity. No pain. No memory. Just nothing. Not darkness, because darkness still exists, but the absence of even the idea of perception. Now here's where it gets more haunting. If sleep can mimic death, what does that say about consciousness? Are we temporary flickers that turn off and on each day? Is you only real because memory is stitched together? And if memory fails in sleep, in death, in dementia, where do you go? In many ancient cultures, sleep was referred to as the cousin of death. In Hindu philosophy, sushupti, the deep, dreamless sleep state, is a mysterious phase where the ego dissolves, and the self merges with the absolute. A kind of temporary enlightenment, or annihilation. But maybe that's the paradox. To truly rest, we must briefly stop existing. And every night, without realizing it, we surrender to it willingly. So the next time you drift into dreamless sleep, consider this. That quiet void might not just be rest. It might be a nightly glimpse into the final mystery. A soft rehearsal. A preview of the moment when all thoughts finally end. Unless, of course, you dream. Simulated reality and dreamscapes. Are we already inside the illusion? When you dream, your brain does something astonishing. It constructs an entire world, from the color of the sky to the feel of your skin, using nothing but itself. It generates landscapes, people, emotions, voices, even physics. And most remarkably, you believe it. For as long as the dream lasts, it's real to you. But what if this waking life is just a more stable, high-resolution dream? This is where dream theory collides with one of the most controversial ideas in modern philosophy and tech culture: the simulation hypothesis. The idea, popularized by thinkers like Nick Bostrom and Elon Musk, suggests that what we call reality could actually be a hyperreal simulation run by advanced beings, machines, or even ourselves from the future. Let's rewind. When you're dreaming, you don't question the laws of that world. You just exist inside it. Even if something bizarre happens. You're flying, or speaking to a lion, your mind accepts it, adapts to it, and continues. This blind acceptance is a clue. What if we're doing the same thing right now? The philosopher René Descartes famously asked, "How do I know I'm not dreaming?" He realized that every experience could be deceiving and that perhaps the only thing he could be sure of was that he was thinking. Everything else, even the chair beneath him, could be an illusion. Today, neuroscientists confirm something eerie. When you dream, the same areas of your brain light up as when you're awake. Your brain doesn't always know or care whether an experience is real. It just processes signals. And those signals could be artificial. This leads to the unsettling possibility. What if dreams are simply low-resolution simulations and waking life is the high-definition version? If so, then you, your thoughts, your past, your identity may all exist inside a kind of dream engine. One so advanced you never suspect you're inside it. After all, fish don't notice water. And we don't notice reality. Now mix this with lucid dreaming, where people control their dream worlds, and suddenly, you have humans creating personalized universes in their sleep. Just like simulated environments. Just like the Matrix. So here's the haunting idea. Maybe what we call reality is the longest, most convincing dream we've ever had, a simulation we can't wake from because it's too consistent, too elegant, too immersive. And just like in dreams, maybe the only way to question it is to realize you're inside it. The meaning of nightmares echoes from the subconscious. Nightmares are not just bad dreams, they're windows into the most hidden parts of our psyche. They startle us awake, leave us sweating and shaken, but they also leave us wondering, why that dream? Why now? From a psychological perspective, nightmares can be a way your mind processes unresolved trauma, emotional stress, or deeply buried fears. They often occur when you are emotionally overwhelmed or facing internal conflict. Far from being random, they can be intensely symbolic, like coded messages from your subconscious trying to get your attention. This is where Carl Jung's shadow theory comes in. Jung believed that we all carry a shadow self, the darker, repressed aspects of our personality that we try to ignore or hide. Nightmares, in this view, are the voice of that shadow. When ignored for too long, it speaks in the language of fear, chaos, and discomfort. Your nightmare isn't just scaring you. It's showing you a part of yourself you've refused to face. On the other hand, evolutionary psychology suggests nightmares serve a functional role, fear rehearsal. In ancient times, dreaming about threats like predators or falling may have prepared humans to survive real dangers. Nightmares could sharpen your senses, keeping you alert in a hostile world. But modern neuroscience also plays a role. During REM sleep, when most nightmares occur, the brain's emotional centers are active, while logical control areas are subdued. This allows emotions like fear and anxiety to surge unchecked, creating intense, surreal experiences. So, are nightmares just mental noise, or something more? Are they warnings, traumas replaying, or fragments of your shadow self demanding to be seen? Perhaps they're all of these. What's certain is this: to ignore a nightmare is to ignore your own mind trying to speak to you in its most primal, honest form. Do dreams have meaning, or are they random? Are your dreams filled with hidden messages, or are they just mental static, random firings of a sleeping brain? This is one of the oldest and most controversial questions in the philosophy and psychology of dreaming. And the answers vary wildly, depending on whom you ask. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, believed that dreams are deeply meaningful. To him, every symbol, every strange detail, was a disguise for a repressed wish or unconscious desire. A dream wasn't nonsense, it was a message from your deeper self, coded in metaphor and illusion. If you dream of flying, falling, or being chased, Freud would say your unconscious is trying to speak, if you're willing to listen. But then came Friedrich Nietzsche, who took a far more skeptical view. To Nietzsche, dreams might be reflections of the inner self, but he also warned of overinterpreting them. Life, he argued, is not always filled with deep meaning. And dreams may simply be creative fictions our minds invent, shaped by instinct and chaos, not purpose. In other words, not everything is a symbol. And today, modern neuroscience takes yet another path. According to the activation synthesis theory, dreams are mostly the result of your brain trying to make sense of random neural activity. When you're in REM sleep, different parts of your brain light up emotions, memories, sensory images. Your conscious mind, silenced while awake, comes back online in dreams, trying to weave these fragments into a coherent story. The result? A bizarre, often surreal narrative. Not a message, just your brain's best guess. But there's still room for mystery. Newer cognitive theories suggest that even if dreams begin as random, your mind gives them meaning after the fact. It interprets them, reflects on them, even changes you based on what they make you feel. So the dream itself may not be intentional, but the meaning you give it might be real. So which is it? Are dreams the voice of your hidden self? Or just the brain's nightly housekeeping routine? Maybe it's both. Maybe dreams are chaos and consciousness is what turns that chaos into something beautiful, strange, and deeply personal. If this video made you question your reality or your dreams, then you're exactly the kind of mind we're here for. Don't forget to like, leave a comment sharing your strangest dream, and subscribe for more deep questions that don't come with easy answers. Until next time, sleep deep and think deeper.